Let not your heart be troubled. You are listening to the Sean Hannity Radio Show podcast. You know, I said I'd do this, and I haven't really been planning for it. Anyway, glad you're with us. 800. Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. We're only going to take calls if you need help, if you need therapy. We're only going to take calls this hour if you are a liberal and you need aromatherapy, if you need pet therapy, if you need a coloring book, if you need Play-Doh, if you need a cry room, if you need some help, if you're so upset about the election results, you don't know where else to turn. And here you are listening to me and you're thinking, oh, you're the last person I want to call, Hannity. You're partly responsible. You supported Trump. You endorsed him. You wanted him to win. All right, stop. We're not going to play the cry noise. But if you are a liberal and you need a cry room and you need a pet therapy dog and you need Play-Doh and you need hot cocoa and you need coloring books and you're upset about the election, well, the lines are only open for you today. Just this hour, because I got a lot of work I got to get to today. 800-941-SEAN is our toll-free telephone number if you need help, if you need therapy. I think so far this is the best moment post-election. I now have spoken to people that were in the meeting. And it's one thing when Donald Trump tweets out about CNN and NBC and ABC and the New York Times and all these corrupt media outlets in the country. That's one thing. It's another thing when he invites the network executives into his office and an off-the-record session and tears them up, as they all deserved, every one of them. You know, it's pretty funny that, who was it? Former Congressman Ron Paul released a list of fake news journalists out there, and it's all true. We learned from WikiLeaks. CNN was the worst of the worst, releasing questions before forums and debates to Hillary. That's cheating. That's not journalism. And then you got these stupid hosts talking about fake journalism and fake news stories. Well, they're a fake news organization. And the same goes for, by the way, NBC. They're a fake news organization. And the same thing goes for ABC, CBS, the New York Times, Politico. They were all colluding with Hillary Clinton. It's something else when Donald Trump invites them to his office and literally ream them out one by one while they're standing right in front of him. I mean, that's exactly what Trump did yesterday. And I'm going to tell you something. You know, look, I'm a big believer we should rethink everything. Yeah, I want to rethink the corporate tax rates. Why? Because you incentivize multinational corporations to bring trillions of dollars into the country at a low tax rate. You get rid of this dumb notion that corporations pay taxes. They don't. They pass their tax burden onto you, the consumer, so you pay the corporate tax. So anyway, then they'll bring money in. They'll invest in factories and manufacturing centers. Same with the repatriated money. Same with energy independence. We'll become energy independent in 4 years, have national security benefits, job benefits, tax benefits. Everything will begin to flow. It'll be great. But, you know, maybe Donald Trump should rethink how he deals with media. Why do we have to have the dog and pony show with a press secretary going out there and listening to the inane questions of people that we know are biased? Why? Why should CNN have a seat in the White House press room? Why should NBC have a seat there? Why should the New York Times have a seat there? Or Politico? They all think they're journalists. They're all full of crap. And they've all been exposed. And all the years I've been interviewed by the New York Times and Politico and all these other places, they've never once given me the opportunity to alter or comment on a column before they send it out. Yeah, I'll put people up if you want, if you get them up. Yes, they're asking me, do you want calls up? Sure. Absolutely. I'll put it. But it's got to be somebody that needs help and therapy.
I need to jump in here because I need to send a little message to America.
What's the message?
America, if you hear me.
How you doing?
This is Linda
from New York.
First of all, we love you all.
We love you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Turkey Day. Whatever you're doing. very quickly.
Yeah, by the way, this is my last day before Turkey Day. By the way, you know what? I may have to help some people. How, if you're a liberal and you're going to go home and meet your Donald Trump electing relatives, how you going to handle it?
And here's the thing that we want to tell them, Sean.
Sean.
If you're part of our Trump team, you were Trump Pence, you were MAGA, 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 we love you. Please don't call right now.
Not right now.
Let me repeat that.
Don't call now.
You do not need Hannity therapy. You're playing for the A team. Now, if you're at home right now, maybe you're cuddled up in a soft fleece blanket, drinking some cocoa with marshmallows, and you've got Fluffy and Snuffy next to you, and you feel like your life is over.
What's Fluffy and Snuffy?
I don't know. The stuffed animals. Maybe you're watching cartoons.
Really?
I'm not exactly sure.
They have a whole channel. You can watch cartoons 24/7.
My son, listen, he would like nothing better, but he's one, and that's okay. But if you're in your 20s and you're doing that, you need to call Dr. Hannity.
Right.
And the number is 800-941-SEAN. Sean. And he will guide you.
How you doing?
He's going to give you the steps.
And for those of you in the South, in Alabama, man, that girl talks funny.
You're on your own now, man. I can't do that.
That girl talks funny.
But please, if you're a liberal in need, we don't consider anybody deplorable, unlike other parties.
No,
here at the Hannity Show, we love you all.
Everybody thinks I'm going to be mean to them. I'm offering general help and therapy and wellness therapy. Anyway, back to my story. So these prominent journalists and executives, why wasn't I invited to this? It would have been great for pure entertainment value. And Trump could have said, you could have been more like Hannity. He was fair to me. But you know what? These people weren't fair to him. And, one of the differences, they claim they're journalists. They think they're so sanctimonious and superior. I deal with these bozos on Twitter all the time. Oh, did you see yesterday Eric Wimple Pimple? That guy from the Washington Post who hates me? He actually wrote something nice about me yesterday. I was shocked. I said, you have a fever? He actually defended me yesterday. You know why? Because he knows I'm honest. He knows that there's no ambiguity here. I mean, just like I think it's pretty obvious he's a big lib and he'd never like Donald Trump, and I'm fine with that. Just be upfront about it. These other people that say they're journalists, they're not journalists. These are not news organizations. And now they're trying to blame, fake news is what caused Donald Trump to get elected. All these fake news stories. That's not it. You people in the media, you're so dumb. You didn't get it before. You don't get it after. You'll never get it. Nobody was paying attention to the undercurrent theme that I had all election year. 95 million Americans out of work. Lowest labor participation rate since the 70s. 13 million more Americans on food stamps. 8 million more in poverty. 50 million Americans on food stamps and in poverty. Worst recovery since the 40s. Lowest home ownership rate, 51 years. Doubling the debt. Wake up! The people in Michigan, Wisconsin, Ohio, Florida, Pennsylvania are sick and tired of not having a job, hope, opportunity, and the freedom to bring their God-given talents to fruition. That's why I called it the Forgotten Man election. Patrick is in Athens, Georgia, may need some therapy. What's up, Patrick? How are you?
Good. How are you doing today?
I'm good. What's going on? Are you a liberal?
I am a liberal. I voted for Bernie, and then I unfortunately sort of got pushed into voting for Hillary.
Can I ask you a question?
But, given the alternative.
I'm supporting you. Look, a Bernie guy, if you're a Bernie supporter, how do you end up supporting Hillary after you learned that she cheated him every step of the way? How do you vote for somebody you know is a cheater? What did you do? How do you evolve into that?
I will tell you that it was difficult for me, and in fact, I spent a lot of time arguing against my liberal friends about how upset I was voting for Hillary. And every time I would get done, complaining on my rant, they would say, well, as long as you vote for Hillary, you can have that thought. But, I do agree completely. We are supporting a system. But at the same time, I think all of these Bernie supporters who did vote for Hillary, are still going to push the DNC. We are going to push that. But, you have to understand, given the alternative.
The system was rigged. They colluded. They cheated. They were fed questions for debates. It's so disgusting. And I'm going to say one thing about Bernie that may surprise you. Bernie at least was the real deal. I think Bernie, he's not a phony. He's a socialist, and he's wrong. Socialist. He's a democratic socialist, but he's wrong. But at least I think he had some integrity and honesty. But there's that one WikiLeaks email that tells me they had something on Bernie, and Bernie knew it.
I mean, I'd be interested to hear what that is, but until something comes out, I think we could just leave that to speculation. But I mean, I will say the alternative of voting for Donald Trump is in its own way Republicans and or whatever you want to say, the people against the establishment, former Tea Parties, whatever they are, the alt-right. I mean, voting for Donald Trump is voting for a Republican safe space in America. As much as it is, we like to make the jokes about liberals being crybabies. I mean, trying to get rid of people that are, that are here, that are the basis for America, immigrants, whether legally or illegally not documented. At the moment, the main concern for me is that if we say, oh, we're creating, we're going to bring back jobs, you can't bring back dead industries. You can put people into office that deny.
What do you mean you can't? What do you mean you
can't bring back dead industries?
What do you mean you can't bring back dead industries? What do you mean by that?
What are you going to do with coal? Who wants coal right now?
Well, I would argue that coal fuels a lot of our energy needs in the country, or else we wouldn't be digging at all for coal. And let me make a point to you. And we have more natural gas, which, by the way, is better for the environment, cleaner burning gas than fossil fuel. And we have more gas, and that you can even power your car on natural gas. It's so amazing, and it's better for the environment. And I know because I had a truck that once ran on that was converted to natural gas, and I bought the truck from the Providence Gas Company, and they had converted it back to gasoline. Look, I'm just going to say this to you. You don't seem like you need therapy, but I'm just going to tell you, let not your heart be troubled. The country's fine. You're going to be fine. And all these predictions of doom and gloom and chaos and nuclear war are not going to happen. We're not going to poison the air, water. We're not going to rob your children blind. I think if he implements what I think is a pretty significant change agenda, my prediction about Obama was he'd fail. My prediction about Trump is he'll succeed because conservatism works. So let's give it a shot. But we won't know the benefits for about 3 years, though, fully. All right, let's go to Mike in Sacramento, California. Mike, hi, how are you? And we're glad you called, sir.
Hey, Sean, thanks for taking my call.
What's going on? How are you?
Well, I just want to admit that as a liberal, I've felt very, very disappointed in the last few days about the election results, but a buddy of mine convinced me to start listening to you and to start listening at to the optimistic point of view that you have about our country and about President-elect Trump. And I've been listening to you for a few days, man, and you're giving me really good vibes about the future, and you're turning my point of view around as it pertains to Trump.
Let me ask you this, because I appreciate your open-mindedness. Here's the thing. What drove me this election, everybody thought it was the personality of the people involved. It's not. It's about the ideas. Will we be better off, will we be safer if we vet refugees that come from countries that believe in Sharia? I think the answer is obvious, right?
Yeah. That's right.
And if we build the wall, then we have legal immigration, and we don't have illegal immigrants either taking our jobs or the threat of somebody with ISIS or Al-Qaeda affiliates coming into our country. That's not a bad thing, is it?
No, not bad at all.
If we send education back to the states, we pay more per capita per student. We can't do any worse if we let local municipalities decide rather than top down, right?
Correct.
Energy independence would be a smart thing for America, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Healthcare. Obamacare is up $4,100 and projected to go up 100% in many states this year again. So getting rid of Obamacare and offering choice and different plans and competition, it can't be any worse, right?
That's right. I can truly say that. That's
all right. And
right.
And do you agree with me? Corporations don't pay taxes. So if we lower the corporate tax rate to incentivize trillions of dollars overseas to come into the country, won't that create millions of jobs?
It's supposed to.
And putting America first and trying not to get involved in foreign entanglements, if we can avoid them, would probably be a good thing, especially because we always politicize wars.
Yeah, I think that'll work.
I think I should have talked to you before the election. You would have voted for Trump.
I probably would have. To be honest, I think we all, left and right, we all just got really wrapped up in in the rhetoric and the negativity, and we just stopped listening to facts. And, you know, as soon as the election was over, I said, okay, well, you know, what the heck? I'll have an open mind towards everyone from now on, and we'll just listen to facts. And as soon as myself and my family did that, we started realizing that, you know what, it makes a lot of sense to...
That's interesting. No. Ethan's making a face. No, I'm telling you, what he's describing is accurate. People get so emotionalized because of the way coverage is delivered in this country. I totally understand what he's saying. I get 100% what you're saying. And then when the emotion of it's taken away, you're like, well, maybe he's not as crazy as they told me he was. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
No.
Exactly. I think we just got too wrapped up in the emotions of the whole campaign and mudslinging, you know, back and forth, and we just stopped listening to the facts. And, you know, I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one who's changed their mind. So I'm just hoping for the best.
Mike, you're doing well. You don't need my help. But if you need a cry room or Play-Doh or a coloring book or cocoa, call me, 800-941-SEAN. Just for the next half hour, then we've got other things to do. Newt Gingrich is going to join us, among others. I just noticed this, pretty interesting, that the Southern Poverty Law Center is being quoted all over the place these days. They've been chronicling the so-called rise in hate crimes since Donald Trump started running for president. Never mind, by the way, that the FBI doesn't even offer figures for hate crimes. Why aren't they talking about all the people being shot in Chicago? Have they discussed that over at the Southern Poverty Law Center? Anyway, the most recent data only goes back to 2015, but apparently the SPLC's ability to monitor hate crimes is so superior to the FBI's, you know, given the frequency of the alt-left media inciting their data, if you want to call it that. Remember last year when they actually put world-renowned pediatric surgeon turned presidential candidate Ben Carson on the extremist watch list. Could you imagine Ben Carson, the nicest human being on earth? Remember when he was running for office, Lyndon, and I was trying to be nice to him. I'm like, you know, you're different than all the other presidential candidates. You know, I think you're too nice to run for this position. Remember I'd say that to him? And it was true. But I didn't have the heart to really come out and say it because he's so nice. You don't want to hurt the guy's feelings. He's too good for government. He doesn't understand. He's too logical. He's too sensible. He's too thoughtful. He's too bright. I felt bad. You can't fight in the swamp. He can't. It's not in him. I don't think he'd ever say a bad word about anybody. Anyway, Ben Carson believed that marriage should be between a man and a woman. That's enough to put you on the extremist watch list. Well, then Hillary Clinton would have been on there for years, and Bill Clinton and Obama would have been on there for years. But let's forget that. Anyway, so during an interview, of course, it's on the alt-radical mainstream media outlet CNN, the Southern Poverty Law Center editor, some guy Ryan Lenz, he claimed that President-elect Trump's use of the term and hashtag drain the swamp is a dog whistle. Maybe he could work with Chris Matthews over at MSNBC. Intended as a subtle wink to white supremacists. Where these people are nuts if they believe that. Yesterday, Donald Trump released his 100-day plan on YouTube. He announced some very thorough, specific things he was going to do by executive action, and he referenced the phrase he's going to drain the swamp. At Drain the Swamp, a Twitter hashtag that grew, exploded really after Trump came forward with the allegations it was a rigged election. It was spread specifically among people spreading the Drain the Swamp hashtag or avowed racist. It's like all this talk about the alt-right. I'll get into this tonight. I'm going to debate Rosie Gray from BuzzFeed over this. That ought to be fun. All right. Now, we're only taking calls from people that are sad, people that need cry rooms, people that are upset over the election results, people in college that need coloring books and Play-Doh and aromatherapy and pet therapy and dogs therapy and cat therapy and whatever else you need. So we're only taking calls from those that need help. Let's go to Joey is in Roanoke, Virginia. What's up, Joey? Can I help you? The good Dr. Hannity is in, sir.
Sean, dude, I need some help, bro. I need some help.
What's up, bro? Come on, tell me, bro.
I don't know what. Like, what happened with this election? Why was it like a weird reality show where, like, the majority of Americans weren't happy with either candidate, but, like, nothing got done to fix that problem? And also, like, Sanders, like, I heard you talking about how Sanders was just, like, like, it came out that he was just...
Oh, I think WikiLeaks showed that he was owned by the Clintons. They had something on Sanders, and they had a little private agreement in there, is my suspicion. At least that's how I interpreted that.
Dude, it is just so crazy. Like, how are these the two people, like, a weird bigot billionaire and, like, a war
Joey,
criminal?
let me ask you, how old are you, Joey?
I just don't get how that happened, man. I just don't get how it happened.
Well, man, I'm telling you, dude, it's crazy, man. Crazy.
Dude, it just really bums me out.
Bums me out, man. It's totally like,
big bummer.
I'm flabbergasted, but it's a bummer. How old are you, Joey?
I'm 20. I'm 24.
What are you doing with your life?
Man, nothing really. I'm just delivering pizzas. Well,
listen, you got a job at least. You're delivering pizza? Yeah,
and I'm going to school for welding. But
that's awesome. That's a great career.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't, listen, you got to find something you like to do. You're 24. You still got plenty of time in your life. You don't drink and smoke weed, do you?
I do smoke weed. Yeah.
How often do you smoke weed?
Like twice a week, I'd say.
Yeah, that means every day. Come on, be honest. Don't lie.
No, I used to smoke, man, a lot.
Yeah, I'd never know.
I just can't afford it now, man.
Oh, if you could afford it, you'd smoke every day.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably, Sean.
All right, here's my advice to you, Joey. The president's not going to impact your life at all. Here's my advice. You need to get off the weed, get your head straight. And then when you smoke weed, do you drive when you're bringing pizza to people's house?
No, I can't. My boss is a real strict guy.
But you know what? But you can get stoned, and he wouldn't even know, would he? Because you're kind of loopy all the time, right?
No, pretty normal guy, man. I just deliver pizzas.
Listen,
I'm not like a loopy dude.
Dude, you got to listen to me here. I'm giving you good advice. All right, you ready?
Tell me, Sean. Tell me about it, bro.
All right, bro. Give up the weed. Okay. Stop smoking pot.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Get your head straight.
Mm-hmm.
Get a full-time job.
Mm-hmm.
Look at different careers. Go to Express Employment Professionals and look at the different careers. They got a whole, careers in demand section. You can look at expresspros.com. Go to their website. Find a career that's going to be in demand for the next 40 years of your life that you think you're interested in, and I'd pursue that, and you don't have to worry who the president is. All right, dude?
I mean, it's not so much like I'm worried about who the president is.
Listen to me. Listen to me. The least important thing in your life right now is the president. The most important thing, you need to get a career going. You need a life going. You need to give up drugs, stop being stupid, and grow up. You're 24 years old.
I don't think I'm being too stupid, dude. I thought I was going to call you and talk to you about.
Dude, if you're smoking pot, if you want to smoke
like,
pot every day, you're being stupid. I'm just telling you. All right? I'm giving you the straight scoop. I'm a doctor.
All right, Doc.
All right, Doc? You're not going to stop, though, are you? You're not going to listen to me one bit, are you? Click. All right. Jake in Rhode Island. What's up, Jake?
How's it going, Sean?
What's going on? I lived in Rhode Island for 5 years in Warren, Rhode Island.
Oh, wow. No way. I had no idea about that.
How old are you?
I am 18. I'm a freshman in college.
Awesome. What school you go to, Providence, or?
I just go to CCRI right now, getting my general education.
Oh, that's great. Good for you. I'm proud of you. And what could I do for you?
I was just calling. I would describe myself as a liberal, progressive liberal. I'm just calling because I know this is sort of your outreach to the liberal audience, whatever portion that may be of your audience. But I was wondering if maybe a more effective way to maybe get their attention, get a bigger audience's attention would be to maybe find common ground in policies that you find a certain position on that you agree with the same position the left.
Listen, I just went over all the calls with that guy from Sacramento in the last half hour.
I don't know. All I know is that last call was like I could barely breathe. That was hysterical.
No, I don't know what I'm trying to help the kid. He's 24 years old. He's wasting his time, smoking pot. I don't care that he delivers pizzas at 24. Big deal. That's not a problem. Yeah. He's working. I mean, he's not. He's. I guess he's paying his bills. I don't know. I should have asked him if he lives in mommy's basement, but You know, the bottom line for you, Jake, is this. You're 18 years old. You got your whole life ahead of you. You don't have to worry right now who the president is. What you need to do is you need to develop a career for yourself. And I did not know at 18 what I wanted to do with my life. My son just turned 18. My son's in college, and he's starting college in January, a semester early, and that's it. I'm like, do your job. Your job is to get good grades. That's your job. And if you do your job and you behave, you can stay in college. If not, I'm going to pull your ass out, and you can go to work like I did. And that's what I tell them.
Right.
So and then while you're in college, find something that you love, because you got to do it for decades of your life. I mean, this is my 30th year in radio, and I still love coming to work every day.
Oh, yeah, no, believe me, I'm sure that's a dream job.
Yeah, but my advice, don't go into radio.
Yeah, no.
It's not the same as when I got into radio. It's harder now. It's what? You don't want me to tell what? What? Don't shake your head and chastise me with your eyes.
Maybe Jake is the next Sean Hannity, and you just killed his dream.
Jake, what do you want to do with your life, Jake?
I guess I'm not being the next Sean Hannity. I'm throwing that one out.
All right, my friend. God bless you. Good luck with that. Let us go to Ravi is in West Palm Beach, Florida. What's up, Ravi?
Hi, Dr. Sean. Thank you so much for taking my phone call.
Yes, what can I do for you?
I'm seeking some professional help, and I really don't know what to do. I just want to bash my head into the wall over and over again. Mm-hmm. I'm engaged to be married. The love of my life is completely on the left, and I'm leaning more to the right of things, and it's...
Well, let me ask you this question. Do you guys fight a lot about it?
We can't even talk about politics.
Really? Have you talked about the possibility that you might have sex when you get married and you might have kids and how to raise those kids?
Yeah.
and how do you and what is or whatever the beep is. All right, and did you discuss how you're going to raise the kids? Are you going to disagree on raising kids?
Anything politically we disagree on. It's crazy. I don't know how somebody...
All right, do you agree on everything else? Do you agree on discipline? Do you agree on nutrition? Do you agree on, I don't know, immunization? Do you agree on education? Do you agree with all of this?
We're a very good couple. I'm very happy in the relationship. Politics is the only thing we disagree on.
I don't know. I'd rethink this. I couldn't marry a liberal. I don't think this is going too good.
It's difficult. It's really difficult.
And does she get mad? Is she mad at you that you voted for Trump?
Yeah, she was furious, but she voted for Hillary, and I was furious too. So, I mean...
All right, here's my advice. Dump her and find another girl.
Oh, there's got to be another way, Sean.
Well, that's my advice. You're asking for the good doctor. That's just my humble advice. Imagine 10 years from now, if you guys are killing each other over politics now, what's it going to be like in 10 years?
You're right. I just have this small feeling like if we can overcome it, what would the relationship be like in 10 years?
If you want to look at the reality, is take the person's worst qualities and magnify it by 100, and that's called marriage. All right?
Okay.
All right.
All right. That's some good words. Thanks, Sean.
I'm glad I can help.
Sean.
The good doctor's in the house. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving.
Hope you have a great holiday.
Yeah, exactly. Don't throw the turkey leg at her at the table because she voted for Hillary. Jason, North Carolina. What's up, sir? How are you?
I'm doing okay. I listen to way too much right-wing radio.
Yeah.
And TV. And
yeah.
I need to help you with something.
What's up, dude?
I keep hearing that the people rejected the media. The people rejected Hillary Clinton. Well, the people overwhelmingly voted for Hillary by 1 million+ votes. So how could that statement be made?
You see, you're given an argument that just doesn't fly. Let me tell you why. Because everybody knows what the system is, how you become president. And the way our system's designed is the Electoral College. Now, Donald Trump didn't waste his time campaigning in some of our biggest states. He didn't even campaign in New York, his home state. He didn't campaign in California. He didn't campaign in Illinois. And the reason is, he might have early in Illinois because he got shut down that one time. But the reason is he wasn't looking to drive up the popular vote. He could have driven up the popular vote by a lot. If the system was designed differently, he would have run a different campaign. But the system is not a popular vote campaign. It's Electoral College because that's the way our system's designed. So each state has a say in the election. Anyway, let's go to Sean in Orlando. News 96.5 WDBO.
Hey, Sean, thanks for taking my call.
What can I do?
I wanted to start off by saying, I'm a liberal and I need some therapy.
Yeah.
But I have to say at the same time, I am not a huge Hillary Clinton fan. I think the Democrats did steal the nomination from Bernie.
They did.
And I think that the swamp that draining is exemplified by the DNC and what they did this election cycle.
Well, get to your point. What's your point? I don't have a lot of time.
Well, I think you and the conservatives are just as big as crybabies as you make liberals out to be. Donald Trump can't even take being made fun of by Saturday Night Live without sending out a Twitter storm about, they're being mean to me. They're being very unfair.
That's not what he said. He said that's not what he said. He said they're biased, and where's my equal time? And I think it was more tongue in cheek than anything else. Listen, I had to suck up Obama, who I knew would be a horrible president, for 8 years. I had to suck it up. I didn't go to a cry room. I didn't get cocoa from my staff. I didn't get a coloring book. I didn't get Play-Doh. I didn't get aromatherapy or pet therapy or kitty cat therapy or doggy therapy. I got nothing. I dealt with it like an adult. And these little college prima donna spoiled brat babies need to grow the hell up. Grow up. You agree with that?
Which is whole. You said, no, when is it going to be Obama's fault? When is Obama going to own it?
When is he going to own it? He's still blaming Bush.
Now you're saying Trump needs 3 years. Obama did not get that same treatment from you, Sean.
Excuse me. Barack Obama in year one gave us, nearly $2 trillion in debt. It wasn't hard to figure out this was a disaster in the making. Look, you got to admit, I was dead on, accurate, right, and I wish I was wrong about Obama. Had him pegged from the beginning. Look, socialism doesn't work. Statism, redistribution doesn't work. Capitalism works. Anyway.
Today, I would like to provide the American people with an update on the White House transition and our policy plans for the first 100 days. Our transition team is working very smoothly, efficiently, and effectively. Truly great and talented men and women, patriots indeed, are being brought in, and many will soon be a part of our government, helping us to make America great again. My agenda will be based on a simple core principle: putting America first. Whether it's producing steel, building cars, or curing disease, I want the next generation of production and innovation to happen right here on our great homeland, America, creating wealth and jobs for American workers. As part of this plan, I've asked my transition team to develop a list of executive actions we can take on day one to restore our laws and bring back our jobs. It's about time. These include the following. On trade, I am going to issue our notification of intent to withdraw from the Trans-Pacific Partnership, a potential disaster for our country. Instead, we will negotiate fair bilateral trade deals that bring jobs and industry back onto American shores. On energy, I will cancel job-killing restrictions on the production of American energy, including shale energy and clean coal, creating many millions of high-paying jobs. That's what we want. That's what we've been waiting for. On regulation, I will formulate a rule which says that for every one new regulation, 2 old regulations must be eliminated. So important. On national security, I will ask the Department of Defense and the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff to develop a comprehensive plan to protect America's vital infrastructure from cyber attacks and all other form of attacks. On immigration, I will direct the Department of Labor to investigate all abuses of visa programs that undercut the American worker. On ethics reform, as part of our plan to drain the swamp, we will impose a 5-year ban on executive officials becoming lobbyists after they leave the administration, and a lifetime ban on executive officials lobbying on behalf of a foreign government. These are just a few of the steps we will take to reform Washington and rebuild our middle class. I will provide more updates in the coming days as we work together to make America great again for everyone, and I mean everyone.
All right, hour 2, Sean Hannity Show. Write down our toll-free telephone number. You want to be a part of this extravaganza. It's 800-941-SEAN. Anyway, joining us as we now make the transition, less than 60 days less now for Obama in the White House. The days of damage now coming to an end and wreckage. Former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich. How are you, sir?
I'm doing very well and getting ready for Thanksgiving. I hope you are, too.
We have a lot to be thankful for because I don't think this would be as thankful a year if Hillary won. I think I'd be depressed.
Oh, I agree. Every group I talk to, I say, raise your hand if you're happier now than you would have been with another
Exactly.
outcome.
I did that in a speech that I gave earlier this week. It is amazing how elections have such a profound impact, but then they come to an end, and then the part of governing begins. You were recently spotted going into Trump Tower yourself. Is there any role to which you are being considered? You said you don't want a cabinet position.
Well, we had a very, very good talk with Clifton and I both went up to see the president-elect, and as you remember, she and I first had breakfast with him talking about running back in January of 2015. So we had watched this whole thing evolve with fascination and with great hope for him, and he certainly lived up to it. So this was really a chance to catch up, and my goal, which I'll explain at greater length in some newsletters in the near future. Look, we now have over 4,100 state legislators, the most in the history of the Republican Party. We have 34 governors, which I think ties from the high water marks. We control the Senate. We control the House. The new president will have 4,000 appointees. And somehow somebody's got to think about a very simple question. What do we have to do so in January of 2025 we are swearing in the next Republican president because at every level from state and local to federal, the Republican Party has met the American people's needs for a better future, a better economy, a better way of life, greater hope for their kids. And so what I want to work on, and you were with me back when we did this in the Contract with America days, through GOPAC and other instruments.
By the way, even before that was
the entire party.
Well, it was predicated on a series that you did called Renewing American Civilization. I think in many ways we're going back to those fundamentals, aren't we?
I think we are, and that's why as I looked at it about 6 or 8 months ago, it occurred to me that I may even go back and reteach a course like that because things as simple, and this is where we're so different from the left. I mean, we really believe in the work ethic. We really believe you should encourage people to maximize their capabilities, not to maximize their dependency. I mean, there are a number of really fundamental questions. And if you have a party which now has literally controls the legislature and the governorship in 25 states, you're in a position to have really big impact, not just in the White House, but across the whole system. But to do that, you've got to build a common cause and a common language and move the culture, because as you know, one of our greatest problems is the college campuses and the culture of the news media, and the people who really do have a fundamentally different belief system than the folks who won the election this year.
You know, one of the fundamental ways, I mean, I really loved what happened yesterday because all of these network executives went in and met with Mr. Trump, and by all public accounts, Donald Trump dressed them down as being abusively biased in this campaign. You know, do we really need a press office set up like every prior president in the day and age of social media and Facebook and Twitter and Instagram? Or can he communicate directly with the American people? I would argue maybe those ridiculous press conferences could come to an end once and for all.
Well, I think they ought to rethink the whole notion of who they accredit. I mean, you live in an age when, a company like Sinclair that covers 40% of the country with local television news, when you have, as you point out, between Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and a dozen other devices, you can reach the American people again and again. You can stream your own town hall meetings. You can do lots of things nobody's ever thought of before. You could have press conferences for the American people and allow people to ask you questions rather than reporters. I mean, I think, and frankly, the depth of bias and hostility and dishonesty has not abated for one instant. It is amazing to me that the New York Times and the Washington Post are as wrong today in covering the transition as they were earlier in covering the campaign. And a lot of it's just pure bias. They don't want to understand what's going on, and they don't believe in it. And, I think we have to take this head on.
Well, I think he did, and I think he went straight at him, and I actually talked to people in the meeting, and they said he went at them hard. even Martha Raddatz. I mean, she moderated one of the debates, and she was crying on election night that he won. I mean, that is... Look, I said in 2008, and I stand by it, and I think now it's actually been proven through WikiLeaks, journalism's dead. The mainstream media is corrupt. They colluded with the Clintons. It's now been proven. You know, they are advocates. They're not a news organization anymore. CNN is not a news organization. Nor is NBC.
And I think that the Trump team should rethink for every single federal agency. Why would you go back and have the same people accredited, having the same people with the same biases? I think we ought to take a deep look at this and really ask some profound questions. And maybe it's time for a whole different setup.
You know, one of the things I keep saying is that Trump really has one mission. And I know he's building his team now, and that's a big part of the mission, but just keep the promises. And the promises are extreme vetting and building the wall and education back to the states and repatriation and energy independence and health savings accounts. You do all that, I think he has a successful presidency. The only thing I've heard so far that I'm somewhat concerned about is $1 trillion in infrastructure, because I think the bureaucracy ends up wasting, 40 cents at least on every dollar.
Well, I think that if we look, I think both in terms of building the wall and in terms of rebuilding the American military, recapitalizing the Navy and the Air Force, and in terms of an infrastructure plan, President-elect Trump should be developing sort of his set of guidelines and insist on a reform plan, not just a spending plan. I mean, you're exactly right, and there's a real expert on this named Philip Howard who has done tremendous work, and he believes that you could cut half the cost out of the system by getting rid of totally unnecessary regulatory bureaucracies and letting people go to work actually building things. And we spend so much time and money nowadays studying. You see this happening right now in North Dakota on this pipeline issue. You get into all of this lawsuits and then demonstrations and then this and then that. I think that's part of what I mean by really bearing down and saying, what are the principles we're going to run this country by? And one of those principles has to be some level of competent effectiveness.
Well, I think that's basic, and I do think deficits matter. I do think debt matters. I think that's something we've got to pay attention to. I mean, the president's, we have tried over and over again the so-called government stimulus plan, and I'm not disputing that our infrastructure is crumbling, that our airports need to be rebuilt, bridges and roads are a mess in a lot of states and cities. But I'd rather see the. But
let me give you two pay-fors, and you will remember because you were there that I am the only Speaker of the House in your lifetime to balance the federal budget. So I'm interested in balancing the budget. I think we can balance the budget. But I'm going to give you two pay-fors for infrastructure. One is to pass the tax incentive bill to bring home the $2 trillion plus that is overseas. That would generate a one-time payment that would be quite substantial. And second would be to open up federal lands, not the national parks, but federal lands in general, to
sell them.
Energy and to minerals. That would generate over a decade probably more than enough money for $1 trillion infrastructure program.
I totally agree. And in the meantime, it would also create jobs, and it would get people out of poverty, off of food stamps, and paying taxes again, which, by the way, is all a lot of the people want. I think there's a real reason. When you talk about repatriation, I know that the president-elect has talked about a 10% rate. What if he made it 5% if you would invest X millions of dollars in factories and manufacturing centers in those most depressed areas in the country, which we can identify?
I think that sort of thinking could become very creative. We want to rebuild Detroit. We want to rebuild Baltimore. We want to rebuild Appalachia. And remember that the great tidal wave that elected President-elect Trump came out of rural America, and we need to have a contract with rural America to think through what do they need so that they can have jobs, so their kids can stay home and still be able to come by for Sunday lunch. I mean, there are lots of places in America where there's a very strong sense of family and of neighborhood and of community, and the left has just run over it.
I love the fact, I think what you do best, one of the things over the many years I've known you is when you go on vacation, you come back brimming with good ideas, and the vast majority of them are really good. And so I'm listening to you, and what I'm hearing is you're going to take on the role of looking at the big picture for every department and every aspect of government, which I think is a good idea. What do you make of the reaction by the left to the election of Donald Trump? I mean, on college campuses, you have professors providing cry rooms and pet therapy and hot cocoa to the poor little students that are so upset. And
the other day, I didn't believe you initially when you said.
What did you think? I lied about that?
But I was telling you about Wake Forest, which had aromatherapy. Pay a massive tuition, and you too can have aromatherapy. I mean, this is just, it tells you how how much we need to rethink the American university scene, how soft and how isolated from reality it has gotten. We got a nice note from...
By the way, I really, you know what my favorite is, though? They're giving kids in college Play-Doh and coloring books.
Is that right?
I swear. I'm not making it up. I'm not making any... Why do you not believe me? You've known me all these years. I don't make stuff up.
It's just it's so stupid you can't, it's not that you're saying it. It's the whole concept of,
I swear.
How can you be a college student and not be offended?
I know. Could you imagine a cry room? Hang on, I'm having a bad day. My ratings sucked yesterday. Let me go cry in my cry room. I mean, good grief.
Well, we had one of our former interns write us and sent us an email, and she said, all over America, people got up on Wednesday morning and went to work, but not at my university.
That's hilarious.
She said, here we were too sensitive to undertake just doing our job.
How are these people going to function in real life with all the difficulties that that everybody in life faces? I don't know how they'll get by.
Listen, that's why they're desperate for tenure for faculty and why they're desperate for the civil service not to be responsible, because where do you think these people go?
Let me ask you, what do you think so far of the selections? I mean, you've got Reince and Bannon and Jeff Sessions and General Flynn, and you still have Secretary of Defense open and Secretary of State open and some other high positions. And I don't know why I keep hearing the name Mitt Romney. I mean, why would you pick somebody that called you a huckster and a fraud and a phony? It's inexplicable.
I think in the end it'll be very hard for Romney to survive. People just looking at the videotapes. I mean, I think the people who voted for Donald J. Trump voted for him to clean out the swamp, and I don't think somehow that Mitt's going to fit that. But I thought first of all that it was absolutely perfect to have both Bannon and Reince, because Steve Bannon is a hardcore, solid conservative, intellectually very smart.
I gotta run here, but I really appreciate everything you've been doing. I'm really looking forward to see a transformation occur, and I think this is an opportunity that we have not had in so many years, and for that I have a lot of hope that we can do it right. Mr. Speaker, thank you.
It's going to be great.
All right,
take care.
You're going to meet the parents. We talk about criminal aliens, deportation, sanctuary cities. You have governments pledging not to obey the rule of law, which is obscene and absurd. You're going to meet parents who lost their children because of illegal immigrants and illegal immigration, and then put yourself in their shoes and ask yourself if you want to secure the border. All right, let's go to our busy telephones. As I promised, Steve is in Texas. Steve, hi. How are you? We're glad you called.
Hi, Sean. It's great to hear from you. I'm glad I got through. It's an honor to speak to you, sir.
It's an honor to speak to you, sir. What can I do for you today?
So I used to consider myself a low-information voter until a few years ago. I love your program. I'm not sure of every cabinet position, but if Donald Trump were to offer you, sir, a cabinet position in his administration, which one do you think you would be most qualified for, and would you take it?
Do they have a dog watcher position there or something, like a dog pound? A lot of people have I'm surprised so many people have asked me this, and a lot of people in the media speculated, Hannity's leaving. He's going to go work for Donald Trump. No, I'll be honest. I love what I do. Here's my prediction. I predict this country being as divided as it now is, and knowing the left as well as I know the left, I will tell you right now that it is going to get very, very difficult for Donald Trump in the coming weeks, months, and years. And the left is already plotting, planning, and scheming. Pat Buchanan had an article, Besiege Trump Presidency Ahead. That's all true. You saw, the country's more divided than ever. Look at Paul Krugman of the New York Times. Trump is going to bring an era of corrupt governance unprecedented in U.S. history. No, Paul, that would be your newspaper, which is abusively corrupt, biased, and colluding with Hillary. And Hillary Clinton was as corrupt as it could ever get. But, for a lot of people, there are two Americas now. And that you've got the sea of red, which is most of the country, and then you got all these big cities where all the Democrats pile in and vote in massive numbers. So I would argue that I think the role that I think I would be best at is doing exactly what I'm doing. Because as he tries to put originalists on the Supreme Court, when he tries to repatriate trillions and lower the corporate tax rate, when he tries to repeal Obamacare, when he moves towards energy independence, when he advances the idea of building the wall and vetting refugees and sending education back to the states, which is power away from Washington. I am telling you, the left, if you think the hot cocoa's been bad and the cry rooms and the coloring books and the Play-Doh, the left is becoming unhinged. And they're going to attack him with a zeal, and it's going to be like a religious, revival for these people on the left. They will not stop. And I think I can play a more valuable role being myself, being an honest broker, applauding him when he's right, maybe challenging him when he's wrong. If he's wrong, I'm going to be outspoken. I want the promises made kept. And I think that's going to be an integral part of his success. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
But if you're asking what I don't know what I'm called. I don't know. I mean, I have no idea. I'm very content in what I'm doing, happy with what I'm doing, and I think I can. I see a huge battle coming, and I think this voice is going to be, and your voice more than mine, is going to be more important than ever. I actually said this on Twitter last night. You better. I won't use the term gird your loins. You ever hear that? But you better buckle up, because this boat's about to go through choppy waters, and this is going to be a pretty difficult time, and the left's going to go insane. You're going to see the protesting. You're going to hear the calls for impeachment. You're going to see the opposition. You're going to hear the rhetoric, and it's going to become more heated, more incendiary than anything you've ever heard before. That's my guess. Okay?
Yes, sir, and we'll keep up the good work.
All right, Steve-O, thank you, sir. God bless you. Have a great Thanksgiving.
You too.
Sharon is in New York. Sharon, hi, how are you? Glad you called. What's going on?
Thank you so much. Well, Sean, I wanted to call you because I wanted to express how stoked I am that Trump won the election. I'm not your typical Trump supporter. I'm a woman of color. I went to college. I followed Donald Trump since '86. He was like my mentor in business. And so anyway, when he decided to run, I was behind him and still am all the way. I believe that he has a genuine, heartfelt commitment to the American people, and that's why he's taken this step. And I agree with you that the negative press is contributing to the civil unrest right now, and they need to take a step back and start focusing on the positive policy. Oh my gosh, look at what he's done so far.
Listen,
there is not a morning I don't check and see what he's done, on Twitter or whatnot, and I start high-fiving.
Listen, this is a thing, and I'm going to make this my monologue on TV tonight. I don't think he needs in any way, shape, matter, or form. He doesn't need the press corps anymore. They've already been proven to be corrupt, inept, incompetent, biased, part of a colluding effort with the Hillary campaign. And look, I'm excited about the potential. Look, I'm not Chris Matthews. I'm not Pollyanna. As I said before the election, I knew he could win, but I knew it would be difficult. Now he has. And now I think his main focus has got to be what he's doing, getting the best people so he can fulfill the promises that he made to all of us. But you have every right to be optimistic. Look, conservatism works. Lower tax rates for corporations will work. Repatriation will work. Energy independence will work. We'll have lower health premiums as a result and more choice as a result of health savings accounts. It works. Choice in education, it works. Building a wall will prevent people from coming in illegally. It'll work. And originalists on the Supreme Court will impact this country for generations. One of the main reasons I could never understand the never-Trumpers. Anyway, Sharon, thank you. God bless you. Oh, Ainsley Earhart is with us. And her book now, for the last 2 weeks in a row, is that, and this is all books, all categories, the #1 book in the country. It's taken the country by storm. I spoke to a friend of mine who's a publisher, and they said the only precedence they've had for this is the Harry Potter series in terms of something that they never expected as a children's book to explode into the marketplace like this. They ran out of books in 2 days, but now I guess they're restocking as we speak, and it's called Take Heart, My Child, and Ainsley, of course, the co-host of Fox and Friends. Can you believe this?
No, No, I can't believe it. But you've had a big part of this, Sean. You've been so nice about.
Well, I didn't write the book. I didn't illustrate the book. I didn't have any part.
I know, but you talk about it all the time, and I really appreciate it. And all of our friends at Fox have been so supportive. Our bosses at Fox have been supportive. But this is crazy. I mean, it really is. You know the story about how this all came to be, and I can only explain it as a God thing because I went in with a book about my dog. And then it turned into them asking me, the publishers asking me about my life and me telling them about my dad and how amazing my parents are and how Dad was in charge of breakfast every morning because my mom had to be at school because she's a school teacher or was a school teacher before she retired. And so Dad was in charge of breakfast and would leave all these little notes next to our cereal bowl. And then the publishers were like, Ainsley, that's your book. You're not doing this book about your dog. You're doing that book. So I started working on this book. One thing led to another. And now they can't keep it in stock. I mean, it's the best-selling book in the country.
Yeah, but it's what a great story. I got a chance. Your father was in town. I guess it was last week, and I got a chance to meet him
on the show. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he was a very special guy. I mean, you know what's funny about it? When I was talking to him, is that this is the red state America. If you look at the map of the United States, and I think of all these people with their hot cocoa and their cry rooms and their coloring books and their Play-Doh, these kids in college, which nauseates me. And then I think of the story, the anecdote you tell in the back of your book about your father. You were a cheerleader in 7th grade, and then I guess in 8th grade, you got cut, and he gave you he toughened you up. He was a good dad.
Yeah, he said, Ainsley, you were a cheerleader in 7th grade. You need to give someone else a chance to be a cheerleader. You're going to be fine. You're a strong person. You are confident, but there's another child that might not be. And you've already had your chance, and you need to give someone else a chance. And you need to sacrifice your position to give someone else a try so that they can have that experience too. And so I thought, wow, I'm sacrificing my position for someone else so that they can be happy and get the chance that I did in 7th grade. So it totally changed my life.
Are you like in a wind tunnel? Because I'm hearing a lot of...
Can you hear that?
Yes, I can hear that. No, that's all right.
In New York City.
Yeah, you walk in the streets of New York. And then when I was talking to your dad, he told me a story. You have a brother, Trent. And your brother, these guys wanted to fight your brother, and your dad went out and made your brother fight them. I love that story.
If my mom heard this, she would kill you. She's probably listening to your radio show because she loves it. But, okay, so my brother came home and said these kids wanted to fight him. And they were like, the kids in the neighborhood that got in trouble all the time. I was a babysitter.
By the way, that would have been me if I lived in the neighborhood. I lived.
Really?
Oh, I was incorrigible.
All right, so the two kids, I don't know if you could ever be this bad, Sean. I babysat for all the kids in the neighborhood. These were the two you said no to babysitting. But anyway.
By the way, there was nobody in town that would we made a babysitter cry and go home one time, me and my sister.
Okay, well then maybe you would be these guys.
Yeah.
So they come over to fight my brother. They wanted to, and my dad said, tell them to come over and fight. They can fight in the backyard. So they come over and they fight, and Dad always said, don't ever throw the first punch. So the one kid steps up to the plate and he throws a punch at my brother. And my dad said, was teaching him how to fight. And so my brother knocked him in the face, and then the guy falls down, and my brother gets on top of him, and my dad said, just keep going, don't stop. And so he did, and then that kid got up and was crying and didn't look so hot. And my dad said to the other kid, all right, your turn. And he said, no, Mr. Earhart, I don't want to. I don't want to fight. So my brother, who was not confident at all about fighting before that, he became one of the best wrestlers in the high school and won the MVP award the first year. And it really taught him a lot of confidence. But my mom hates that story. One time I said it on air, and Mom was so embarrassed because she said,
No. I got to tell you, no, your dad was 100% right. Now, in this day and age, your brother and your father would probably get arrested. But, I think back to when I was young. I mean, me and my friends, we played sports all day long, and especially hockey was our favorite sport. I mean, there wasn't a day, not one single day where we weren't playing where we didn't drop our gloves and start throwing punches. It happened every day. It was like, that's why I don't understand what a hot cocoa from a professor means, or a cry room means, or aromatherapy, or coloring books and Play-Doh. What is that?
Go to a freaking keg party and enjoy college. Give me a break.
I know, right? I mean, that's what I'm going to teach my kids. Go to keg parties. Well, so you're going to be you're going back to your hometown for, I guess, what, Thanksgiving? You're going to South Carolina?
Going back Thanksgiving, yep. I have a book signing at a little precious baby store called Little Lambs and Ivy on Friday. And then on Saturday, I'll be at Barnes & Noble on Forest Drive in Columbia, South Carolina.
So
I'm really excited about that.
Do you have a place where people can find the details about the signings? Do you have a website or something?
Yes, go to AinsleyEarhartBooks.com.
All right. Well, we're going to leave you with the sirens in the background. The book is called...
Pray for the people in that ambulance, Sean.
Okay, I'll pray for them. Take Heart, My Child. It's the #1 book in the country. And by the way, the illustrations are amazing. And it's an awesome book and a great gift for your child or your grandchild or niece or nephew. It's perfect. All right, back to our phones we go. As we check in with Justin, wants to talk about Ainsley's book in Idaho. What's up, Justin? How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. What's going on?
Oh, I heard you talking about the book, and I was just wondering where I could pick it up, because like you said, it'd be a good gift for my kids, and that's what,
I know it's in bookstores all around the country. You can go to Amazon.com or BarnesandNoble.com, or I think we have a link still on my website, right? Hannity.com, and you get an autographed copy there.
Oh, okay.
It's really a sweet book, but what I think is, it's like everything else. People in the liberal media, they wonder, how's Duck Dynasty so successful? Those guys on Fox, how could they be so successful? Those ignoramuses in talk radio. They believe in God and guns and country and family and all those things. Well, that's the point. That is, you look at that map. You know what we need to do, Linda? We need to put up the map of this election. Red and blue. Put it up there, the one that is most significant. Just throw it up on part of our rotating things on the new website, Hannity.com. And I'm going to tell you something. There is a very different America. And there's an America where people actually, remember when Obama said these bitter people clinging to their God, guns, and religion? Well, I'm one of those people. I believe in freedom and fun and God and my Bible, and I'm a Second Amendment guy.
They're Americans in every way, but on paper.
Apolinar Altamirano had come in and wanted to buy cigarettes. Altamirano then pulled a gun and pointed it at Grant. Grant immediately offered up the cigarettes, and Altamirano then shot him point blank in the face. My son's death was completely preventable. Apolinar Altamirano had been in the country illegally since he was 14.
If the federal government wants our police officers to tear immigrant families apart, we will refuse to do it.
My youngest son, Joshua, was a senior in high school and had his whole life ahead of him. He went to school and never returned. As Josh walked up to the doors of the school that morning, Hermilo Morales walked up as well. At trial, the killer testified on his behalf and gave exact testimony on how he systematically killed Joshua.
To be clear about what Chicago is, it always will be a sanctuary city. You are safe in Chicago. You are secure in Chicago, and you are supported in Chicago.
He first threw a punch in the face so that Joshua's vision was messed up and he could not fight back. He next kneed Joshua in an abdomen so that he would go to the ground. Joshua went to the ground as his spleen was sliced in half. The killer was aggravated that it was not over yet. He was a black belt in mixed martial arts and thought he could do this without any blood. He was aggravated it was not over. He said he grew tired of watching bloody bubbles come from Joshua's nose as he was trying to breathe. Next, he took a closet rod and beat Josh over the head again and again until the rod broke in 4 pieces.
We are not going to sacrifice 500,000 people who live amongst us, who are part of our community. We're not going to tear families apart. So we will do everything we know how to do to resist that.
Joshua was still breathing. Next, he strangled him. He let him go to see if it was over. No, it's not over. So he continued until there were no more bloody bubbles. He must have said it 6 times from the stand. He waited and he watched him die. He tied Josh's body up, stuffed it in the back seat of our truck, bought gas, dumped Josh in a field, and set his body on fire. The killer went home, took a shower, and went to see a movie, had popcorn and Coke.
It's obvious the Republicans are more afraid of the Dreamers than they are of ISIS.
The day she was killed, we were walking arm in arm on Pier 14 in San Francisco, enjoying a wonderful day together. Suddenly a shot rang out. Kate fell and looked at me and said, "Help me, Dad." Those are the last words I will ever hear from my daughter.
America First will be the major and overriding theme of my administration.
What about criminal aliens, even those that have committed murder in this country? What is going to be done? You keep hearing one mayor, starting with Rombo Deadfish Emanuel in Chicago, say, well, we're going to be a sanctuary city. Comrade Bill de Blasio in New York, he said the same thing about New York City. Well, Jeff Sessions may end up prosecuting sanctuary cities if he is confirmed as Attorney General. You have Texas Congressman John Culbertson with his position as chairman of the House Appropriations Subcommittee on Commerce, Justice, and Science, and the congressional power of the purse. When you join those two things together, well, sanctuary cities and other jurisdictions, well, they may now have to choose between protecting illegal aliens and receiving a lot of money in federal law enforcement grants. Anyway, what you heard are real people, real families, real suffering, real victims, and two of them join us now. Laura Wilkerson and her 18-year-old son, Joshua. Joshua was beaten and tortured to death by a fellow student whom he gave a ride home to and was the son of illegal immigrants. Steve Ronnebeck is the father of Grant, a 21-year-old man. We've had him on the program before. And Steve Ronnebeck, by the way, you know, his son Grant was killed while working at a convenience store overnight in Mesa, Arizona. The killer was an illegal alien released by ICE in 2013 after conviction for burglary and kidnapping involving drug dealing. Pretty unbelievable. Didn't we, by the way, welcome both of you back to the program. Steve, didn't we find out that the guy had kidnapped and raped a woman?
Yeah, he did. Him and another man actually had kidnapped and raped a woman, held her captive for a week, and just continued to rape her over the period of that week.
And then he was released after that. He got out early, right?
Well, yeah. Actually, he was able to plead it down to a simple felony and never served a day in prison for his crimes.
That's unbelievable. And then he kills your son, who didn't get the cigarettes that this guy wanted to steal fast enough, even though your son was complying with this guy late at night. And here your son is working hard, I guess, to pay his way through school, right?
He was wanting to become a law enforcement officer, and to be honest with you, a lot of his wages went to help me pay the bills. I had gotten separated and divorced, and he paid a third of our household bills every month.
Unbelievable. Laura, tell us the story about your son Joshua.
Thank you for having me back, Sean. Josh just was going to school one day, and that Rahm Emanuel, it just makes me so mad I can hardly speak. I would really like to just punch him if I could. He talks about ripping families apart. He didn't know a thing about ripping families apart. If he keeps up what he's saying, it's welcoming the criminals to his city. The people that live in that city need to rise up and say no more. I mean, don't they want to be safe in their own city? I think he's more interested in a fight with Donald Trump than he is about protecting the citizens of Chicago. I'm just livid about it. Josh was just a great kid. He was 18 and a senior in high school, and an illegal alien asked him for a ride home. Josh gave it to him, and he beat him, tortured him, watched him die, strangled him over and over until he did die, and then he tied him up like an animal, and he put Josh in the back seat of our truck, drove around and bought $2 worth of gasoline and threw him in a field and set him on fire.
I just can't believe these stories. And by the way, you're not alone. How many other parents do both of you know that have gone through similar things over the course of the years that you've had to suffer?
Hundreds.
Hundreds. Steve?
Yeah. Absolutely hundreds.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, we don't know their stories. Let me ask this question, and I don't know what the answer is. Have many media outlets besides me wanted to tell your story so people can hear it? I'm just curious.
There's not a lot of media outlets that do. You've been one, and of course we've had the option that Donald Trump has given us to put our voice out there, and he's put a showcase on to tell you what really happens. It's just the truth. I mean, to me, it's like report the news and let people take away from it what they need to take away instead of just ignoring the news or reporting it slanted. It's absolutely a mess in the media, and so I do thank you for giving us a voice on your show to tell you what really happens to people's families who are torn apart forever. I can't call Josh.
Steve?
And Sean, I applaud you for for the choice you gave us and for the option to tell our stories, because there's a lot of mainstream media that doesn't want these stories to get out.
It just makes me sad because, I hear your stories. I mean, I don't know if you ever recover. I mean, I don't think I could recover. I know God doesn't give us things that we can't handle, but this is beyond my limit, at least mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. I don't think I can handle it. I don't.
You learn to live with it. It doesn't ever go away. And right now it's a low time for all of us. The holidays coming up is just a big hole in every one of us that we know. In a couple of days, it shines a light on the fact that someone's missing. So, Sean, I want to ask you, what are we going to do about this? No sanctuary city. Nobody's above the law. Nobody gets sanctuary from it.
Listen, all I can say is this. I don't know, and I'm worried. If they follow through, if Donald Trump, and I'm pretty convinced he's going to follow through on his promises, but if he does, the first people out the door are going to be these criminal aliens. Out the door.
They have to be.
And listen, I supported Donald Trump's agenda, and when he does the right thing, I'll be his biggest champion. If he doesn't follow through on the promises, I'm going to be his biggest critic.
Yes. I agree. I expect him to do what he said he will do, and it's just a matter of getting it done. And nobody gets sanctuary from the law. You or I don't get to sign up for that. Who are they getting sanctuary from? I mean, it's absurd.
All right. Listen, I love you both. I know that it's going to be tough over the holidays for you. Please know you're in my audience's thoughts and prayers, my thoughts and prayers. Steve and Laura, thank you both for telling people about something that they need to know, that I think is underreported in a major way, and I think it's done for political reasons myself, sadly. Thank you both for being on the program. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you. Good to hear you, Steve.
All right, 800-941-SEAN, our toll-free telephone number if you want to be a part of the program. Jessica in Miami, Florida. What's up, Jessica? How are you?
Hi, Sean. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. What's going on?
Okay, so I'm a sophomore in college, and this was my first presidential election. And after doing all of my own research, I decided to vote for Donald Trump. And on the night of the election, a couple of my friends and I stayed up all night, would not go to bed until we had a new president of the United States. And the next day when we went in to go to our classes, everybody was crying hysterically and throwing fits and wearing safety pins. And our teachers were cursing everyone's name and just, why would this happen? What happened last night? And when confronted, who did you vote for? I wasn't about to lie, and I said Donald Trump. And I had one girl actually say to me, you will pay for what you've done. You have ruined this country.
Really? So was that a threat? Did you report the threat at school?
She was someone that I knew, and she told me that she would never speak to me again, but she did not threaten to do anything to me.
By the way, welcome to my world. If you want to know what it's like in a day in the life of being Sean Hannity, this is pretty much standard fare for me. Look, I know for the first couple of times it can be a little disconcerting to you, but over time, trust me, you get very calloused. And, people say and do things to me all the time. What was the thing recently? Somebody did like a hit and run. They see me in the street, and they say something to me. I'm like, what? Oh, come back here and say it to my face. And they're always a bunch of cowards. They always run. They're not going to say it to your face. But I would just urge you, as soon as you learn in life to just stand up for yourself, who you are, your beliefs, your values, your core convictions, there's going to be people that are drawn to you because of who you really are and like who you are. And then there are going to be people that fall by the wayside because they don't like who you are. It's better off you know sooner rather than later who your real friends in life are. So it's a really good life lesson for you. Not everybody's going to be a friend. Not everybody's going to like you. You can't go around in this life wanting to be liked that much, in my opinion. You got to be willing to just shed that insecurity that so many people have.
And that's something that I've learned a lot over this election, and I definitely have found who the true people are that are going to stick by me in life.
Yeah, and not only that, I have friends of mine that have different political beliefs than me, and we can have discussions, and we're still friends. Politics is not going to divide our friendship. And then I have other groups of people that just despise me. And I'm like, I don't care. I've been at this. This is my 30th year in radio, Jessica. I've been called every single solitary name that any one person can be called. I don't care. It means nothing to me. It's like water off a duck's back. And you got to get to that point in life. And you know, the funny thing about it, once people see they can't really get to you, or you engage them, like I engage these silly people, these keyboard warriors in their basement, laying there naked typing. And I just do it for total fun and amusement. And these people think that they can get to me, and they can't. It's entertainment to me. It's funny. And I'll say, are you a jackass in real life or only on Twitter? And you just have fun with them. And to them, it's a big deal. To me, it's water off a duck's back. You can't don't ever let anybody define you. What do you want to be in your life? What are you studying?
I'm studying to become a music educator.
Are you really a good musician?
Yeah, I'm a vocalist. I've been doing it for my entire life.
Well, you have a beautiful voice, so I can see that. And you want to help other people find that gift within themselves and bring out the best in them. Listen, I think teachers like you, that's a noble, noble profession. You're dedicating your life to make other people the best they can be. And you know what? There's a real sense of accomplishment when you achieve that. That's awesome.
Thank you.
And maybe you can teach. I'm tone deaf, I've been told. Is there anything you can do for me?
Take some lessons.
How do you take lessons if you can't hit like test me on a note, see if I can get it. Go ahead.
Yeah, you got it.
So
you just need a little tweaking.
All right, give me one more.
Yeah, you got it. You're just unsure of your.
So I'm not tone deaf? My family laughs at me whenever I sing. All right, I'm going home this Thanksgiving and I'm going to belt out the Star Spangled Banner and see how they like it. I'll get back to you, okay?
You do it.
All right, Jessica, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Stop laughing in there. Why, Miss Singer Linda? Okay, I'm not a singer in a rock band like you are, so I'm giving it my best shot. At least give me credit, an A for effort. I should get a participation trophy.
After this election season, I would gladly give you a gold star for that effort.
Okay, thank you. All right, it's my Friday. Means a little Hannity Fun Friday. 23 now till the top of the hour. 800-941-SEAN. I can't stop listening to the song. So that's by Craig Campbell. It's climbing the charts right now. It's called The Outskirts of Heaven. By the way, that's the part of heaven. If I get a choice, if I get an option, God, I want to live on the outskirts. I want to have, I want to have a river to fish in, a big piece of property and land. Maybe I don't want to see all the other people in there all the time. Have a little alone time up there because I never get any alone time down here. I first met Craig Campbell. One of the things we really pride ourselves on this show is we met artists that we knew were going to be huge, like Florida Georgia Line more recently. We spotted that almost immediately, right? The first song they did. We said, these guys are breaking out. And Rascal Flatts even back in the day. I mean, look how big they became. And I met Craig when we were doing an event in Vegas with Lee Greenwood, and I watched his whole set from the side of the stage, the entire set. And he didn't even have his full band with him. And I said, oh, my God, this guy's going far. And my prediction so far is turning out to be exactly right. And anyway, Craig, it's good to talk to you again. How are you? Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to you as well, man. I'm doing good.
You happy with the election results?
Absolutely. I was. I got to be honest with you, though. I was a little surprised, but pleasantly surprised.
What do you mean surprised? You don't have any faith in Hannity's influence? Come on, I helped a little.
Well, no, the media had it all swinging the other way. I mean, it just made it seem like it was just impossible for it to happen. But I'm absolutely glad it did.
We got this montage that's played with music. You want to listen for 2 minutes? It's so freaking funny, and my audience keeps asking for it. I want to play this again. This is the montage of, like, all the predictions. Oh, she's going to win in a landslide. She's going to win in a landslide. And then all of a sudden, as the night goes on, you keep hearing state after state after state, all being called for Trump. Are you interested in hearing this? By the way, where is Outskirts of Heaven on the charts right now?
We are sitting at number 34 this week, moving on up.
Yeah, wow, that's awesome. All right, hey, here's what I'm talking about. Listen to this.
Donald Trump, just last week, he confirmed to the National Review that he is again considering a run in 2016.
Do it. Do it. Look at me. Do it. I will personally write you a campaign check now on behalf of this country, which does not want you to be president, but which badly wants you to run.
Donald Trump has been saying that he will run for president as a Republican, which is surprising since I just assumed he was running as a joke.
Is that people think that Donald Trump is a clown.
Donald Trump is a clown. I mean, does anybody seriously think that Donald Trump is serious about running for president?
Donald Trump, you know, he's a clown.
Which Republican candidate has the best chance of winning the general election?
Of the declared ones right now, Donald Trump.
President Obama will go down as perhaps the worst president in the history of the United States! Exclamation point at real Donald Trump. Well, at real Donald Trump, at least I will go down as a president.
So basically, this is the beginning of the end for Trump.
The beginning of the end.
Beginning of the end?
This is probably starting of the beginning of the end for Donald Trump.
Donald, you're not going to be able to insult your way to the presidency.
The strongest person usually isn't the loudest one in the room.
So right now we have Hillary's about a 75 or an 80% favorite. We have different versions of the forecast you can look at.
Poll has Hillary Clinton up by double digits nationally, 12 points, 50 to 38, four-way race.
Clinton leading in Florida, Clinton leading in North Carolina, Clinton leading in Ohio, Clinton leading in Nevada. I could go on and on and on.
I continue to believe Mr. Trump will not be president.
And so, right now, Mr. Trump, to answer your call for political honesty, I just want to say, you're not going to be president, all right? It's been fun. It's been great. I love you. But come on, buddy.
We have a major projection right now. Donald Trump will take Ohio. And CNN projects Donald Trump will carry the state of Florida. Huge win for Donald Trump. Donald Trump, we project, will win in Kentucky, in Indiana, with its 11 electoral votes. West Virginia, Tennessee, Mississippi, South Carolina, Alabama, North Dakota, with its 3 electoral votes, and South Dakota, Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, the state of Montana, North Carolina, Georgia, Iowa, Utah, Wisconsin, Arizona, Kansas with its 6 electoral votes, Nebraska with its 5 electoral votes, and Wyoming with its 3 electoral votes.
Sorry to keep you waiting. Complicated business. A lot of people have laughed at me over the years. Now they're not laughing so much, I'll tell you.
Isn't that hilarious? You're right. No wonder why you thought he wasn't going to win, because they kept telling you because they're corrupt and biased.
Yeah, absolutely.
I should be your only news source. I was right about Obama and I was right about Trump, but I'm only kidding. I mean, it's insane. I understand. When I first saw the exit polling data on Election Day, I was very, very nervous. And I'm the guy that was warning my audience for a week, don't pay attention to the exit polls. They're always wrong. But until the votes started coming in, I'm looking at it and I'm saying, oh, no, please, God, no. And then, the state started flipping blue to red, and here we go. It's pretty exciting.
I'm surprised that, I don't even know if the exit poll system is going to have any credit anymore after this, because they were so absolutely wrong.
They've been wrong so often, it's hard to imagine, right? Now, let me ask you a question. Did you see the AMAs the other night? I mean, you're in the music business.
You know what? I did not, and here's why. I was busy doing a show in Atlanta, Georgia, with the Macy's lighting the Christmas tree, so I didn't get to watch it. But I did read one little business thing saying that their ratings were the worst they'd ever been. So I don't know what happened, but apparently it wasn't a good show.
Well, pretty much it was a Trump bashing fest. What's the name of the model? Gigi Hadid. And anyway, so that she went after Melania Trump, which I thought was a bit of a cheap shot. But, none of this matters to me. I think everyone – where did you grow up, by the way, Craig?
I grew up in South Georgia, down in a little town called Vidalia.
I know Vidalia Onions, of course. I know Vidalia well. I was broadcasting in Georgia and Atlanta for 4 years. One of our great stations, WSP, is down there, and we broadcast in Savannah, Macon, all over the south of Georgia. And, the most amazing thing to me is as I watch all of this going on is like there's all this red, blue America, but the country's all red. The only blue spots are a few big cities. That's it.
That's it.
I mean, do you play, for example, they don't even have one country station in New York City. Can you believe that?
We have Nash FM in New York City.
Oh, that's right. I think they just put that on like a year ago, right?
Yeah, they haven't been on long. They're in the Madison Square Garden tower, but yeah, they haven't been on long at all. But it's the only country station there.
I don't even think it covers the whole market, though. That's the point. That's a smaller signal, and I'm not complaining. I've actually listened to it. I'll end up listening to Sirius, Y2 Country or something like that. Or I like to hear you. You're on which country you usually played on?
Sirius hadn't started playing my music yet.
What?
I can't point to the reason why, but
they're not playing Outskirts of Heaven. I'm going to call Sirius XM myself. I'm friends with them.
Man, I tell you what, I could use all the help I could get, but yeah, they've never played any of my songs.
Well, guess what? You were just on the Patriot Channel, and you're on the Patriot Channel right now on Sirius XM. I'm going to call my friends over at Sirius and say, you got to put my buddy Craig Campbell up. All right, well, listen, you on a tour right now? What are you doing?
I am, man, we're slowing down. We just had our last hoorah of shows together. I got a show in Vegas at the end of this month, and then I head on it. I got some things to do at the first week of December, and then that's pretty much it for me. I'm getting ready for the holidays, and that's about it.
All right. Well, listen, Craig, you're a good man. I love the new song, Outskirts of Heaven, and it's climbing up the charts as it's been, and it's doing great. Thank you, sir, for being with us, and God bless you. Happy Thanksgiving.
God bless you, Sean, and you guys have a great Thanksgiving and Merry Christmas.
All right. Appreciate it. Susan in Massachusetts. What's up, Susan? How are you?
Hannity, I want to tell you what a privilege it is to speak with you, and I want to thank you for all you have done to get Mr. Trump elected.
Thank you for helping. Listen, I give the people of this country the thanks because you've given us some hope to maybe change the downward spiral we're currently experiencing. 60 days left of this. By the way, I want to celebrate when he's gone. Thank God the alt-radical left president's leaving.
Amen. Oh, and not fast enough, in my opinion.
Well, he's got 60 days. He's done enough damage in 8 years, don't you think?
But he still has a pen and a phone, doesn't he?
Oh, he's not going to shut up. Oh, no.
Listen, the main reason I'm calling you was in response to these liberals who need all kinds of extra care because Trump was elected. And quite honestly, I want to know where my morphine fix was 4 years ago when Obama was reelected, because that was pretty much what I needed. I could not believe after 4 years of him as president that the people actually had the craziness to reelect him.
Look, I got to it's very frustrating to me, and, sometimes America has to learn the hard way. And we keep experimenting with radical leftism, liberalism, statism, whatever you want to call it, and it never works. The only thing we have to show for it is $10 trillion in debt and millions more in poverty on food stamps, and we've got an economy in a decline, and everybody's suffering. I mean, that is the real cause. You can thank Obama for everything that happened this election year, as far as I'm concerned, and a weak Hillary Clinton. But, he caused people to be open in 100 different ways. Anyway, thank you, Susan. I appreciate your kind words. Happy Thanksgiving to you. Let not your heart be